All right. Peace, and blessings, everybody. Haki Ami here, Success Scholar, Honorable One. It's a beautiful day. Hope you're doing wonderful. Hope you are having a good day. Everything is good here. It is Tuesday, May the 21st, and it is Malcolm X weekend. So, wanted to just come live and just share some of the operations that have been going on this weekend. And I thought that I would just give some insights and offer some analysis of how you actually organize, how you build operational unity, and how you have to position yourself as well as the future generation to how to think through issues and not be an ideologue or dogmatic and you know, sort of cultish, if you will. So, what am I talking about? And the question is, was the Black Baltimore conscious community MIA? Now, I have to do this because sometimes you have people for whatever reason. There's always different, so let's say, positions. Everybody has to be able to play a particular position in order to get things done, particularly when it's in a disorganized structure, shall I say, and there's no defined chain of command or hierarchy, if you will. So, people have to learn how to. Sometimes you assert yourself, and then sometimes you pull back and you recognize other quality leadership where it actually is. And so, with that being said, uh, this weekend was a historic weekend. It was Malcolm X's 99th birthday, but we also, many of us in the Baltimore area, have been pushing for the Maryland Justice for Marilyn Mosby movement in the Baltimore area. But it also was a big weekend, uh, reparations weekend at the National Press Club. And so, with that being said, I wanted to raise up the question of the difference between, those that understand organizing and thinking and, strategy versus those that are just armchair revolutionaries and, uh, shall I say, more so just building up a cult uh, followers, right? Not based upon organizational principles of, you know, shall I say, season of time and understanding that we have to have uh, and work with different people, right? Now, what do I mean? Like, I was at the National Press Club. That was an interesting picture. You may not see it. Let me see it. This is a picture. Oh, shoot. This is a picture of. Turn that phone down. This is a picture of Kwame Ture. Yeah, you can see it now. And Adam Clayton Powell, right? So they are enjoying a conversation. Now, I put this because many people claim that they are followers of Kwame Ture. Previously Stokely Carmichael. I don't know if he was Stokely at this time, but they were in Capitol Hill, right? And this is for real students of the movement. Many people, if you listen to some of Kwame Nkrumah's, Kwame Ture, uh, Kwame Ture's discussion, he shared his relationship between himself and Dr. King, right? And so what may be happening is that there is these tyrannical purists of sorts. And I've had to be able to dissect them over the years. I've had to be able to analyze the effectiveness. Now, this morning on the Carl Nelson show, shout out to Carl Nelson, I had the opportunity to fill in for Brother Cam Howard. Um, I was supposed to say Cam Newton again, but Cam Howard. Uh, he's a premier reparations scholar, and he was there this weekend from Friday all the way up till yesterday, till Monday at the National Press Club, where many of us were present with Dr. Cornel West. And Cam has the earn your black earntheblackvote.net. So definitely check out that website, earntheblackvote.net. But I was there. I was just there from Friday. I was just there from Friday and Saturday. I'm sorry, Friday and Monday. So what I want to share, because Malcolm X weekend, and I just sometimes wonder, do people, understand what Malcolm X stood for, and do they understand how he would move today? See, this is why I had, I went this weekend to DC, where the Lost and Found Nation, the Afro Descendant Nation, was present with attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz. Now, there was an event in Baltimore, right, that I sort of wanted to raise. I raised the question, for instance, because right now you have the masses of Black people in the city of Baltimore, or definitely a large percentage of the forces that are supporting our sister state's attorney, former state's attorney Marilyn Mosby, right? So these people came into Baltimore on Malcolm X Day, and I actually sent a text saying that I may come if I get back in time, and didn't receive a response. But I let them know about the Mosby thing, and I'm just like, are these people so hostile towards the former state's attorney? And let me just mention, and someone, reminded me, and we on Malcolm X's birthday had a particular event for Marilyn Mosby in Clarksville, Maryland. You'll see lots of pictures. Several various groups came and were present there, and none of these people that came to this particular Malcolm evening event, they didn't come out to this. Now, this is a very, very national issue that the grassroots leaders, the grassroots thinkers, the grassroots workers, the builders, the thinkers, the organizers built up to a level that, in the DC area, people are, it's on the minds of the people in DC. It's on the minds of the people in Prince George's County and Anne Arundel County. We planted seeds in many different spaces and many different networks so that individuals could be a part. So I asked a question, for this group that, and people can do what they want in general, but you can't come and say you talk about political tactics and strategies, and that we need to build up political whatever to counter the or to instead of overcoming the system through economics, we gotta engage in political struggle. Now, political struggle means showing the hell up. It certainly should mean that you're showing the hell up, that you are being present for different movements, different opportunities, getting ready to seize the time. Like Huey P. Newton would say, seizing the time. What does seizing the time mean? It means, to me, recognizing opportunities to educate the masses of the people, right? So what I was able to do, just I use a basketball term, having a heads up play and understanding the pulse of the people, is that this is an opportunity to raise the consciousness. Steve Biko talked about raising the conscience of the people. Now, with that being said, so many of the people may not have even known that uh, Sunday was Malcolm X's birthday, right? So it just was a coincidence, and she will be sentenced on this Thursday. So, what am I trying to get at here? I was able to first, you know, recognize the different forces that are coming together for a particular cause, for a critical issue. That critical issue is the uh, the criminal justice system, right? We have to recognize that the criminal justice system is an oppressive force. It's the number one key civil rights. Over 2.5 million prisoners in the United States. I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but a large percentage of them are people of African descent, Black people in America, that make up this. The U.S. incarcerates more of its population per capita than any other country. I think something like China is up there, but the United States is the number for the numbers. 320 million, however many people are in the United States. If I may be a little off, or if I'm just going off the top. But they incarcerate a large, significant population. What Marilyn Mosby was attempting to do, because she read the new Jim Crow, right? So she became not just a lawyer. She was educating herself. She was experiencing things, and she actually charged the police in the Freddie Gray case. But she also later, during you can go look at the film about the Gun Trace Task Force on HBO. There was a series, but I recall, during the Freddie Gray riots, and there were cars like pulling up next to everyone's place, like a real fancy car, and they were getting the drugs out of the store next door to everyone's place bookstore. And later in that film about the Gun Trace Task Force, you learn that there were organized efforts with partners of law enforcement to target the drugs in these stores. Like I just thought, what did they have, like a committee waiting, like the pre-riot committee waiting to steal drugs out of stores? Like they were ready within a few hours, the riot going on, like organized. I was like, I thought they were a military operation, and actually it may have been. I mean, like I never seen nobody like looking so sharp with a nice, I don't know what kind of car it was, but they were out getting the drugs out of the store, putting it in their trunk. So, um, with that being said, we have to be wise. We have to be wise or strategic. So, I said something to the effect that, why didn't anyone support former State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby? Or the question was something to the effect of, where were the people? uh, Something about why there weren't that many people, or where the rest of the people. I don't know, something to that effect. And I was like, well, most of the people, the real people who have any type of intellectual sense, they were, if they had any type of heart or courage or fight the power, or they were at the Marilyn Mosby event a little earlier. So the question is, you didn't You're so disconnected from the movements of the people, so out of touch. You, like Elijah Muhammad said, you don't have the pulse of the people or have the pulse of the people. You don't know what people are doing. You just a bunch of YouTube armchair scholars and revolutionaries that enjoy just talking and feeling good and intellectually masturbating, but nobody, you don't even try to get to know the diverse grassroots forces where you could impart a more so-called radical belief, whatever this illusionary radical political strategy actually means, right? I don't know what the hell that means. Like, what are you gonna start protesting? Like, you gonna put like what Mr. Robert Clay did, put like cars in front of the streets, or so this is a Black Lives Matter type of radical protest. Like, when does it move from being talk to action? But I don't want to, I'm a kind of curtail my general criticisms, but I want to move towards this particular weekend. Not only did people distract people towards out of the Marilyn Mosby thing, but the reparations conference that was happening in DC, like 3 days, 4 Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Many of the scholars, many of the strongest reparations leaders in the country were present. Mama Nakichi Taifa, Brother Cam Howard, many others that I mentioned on the Carl Nelson show this morning. You should go back and check out the podcast, Brother Carl Nelson, who does a yeoman's job. And I've been instrumental personally in, uh, you know, supporting that when other people, because it was too intellectually stimulating, while other people begin to bow out away from Radio One. But what I certainly have been able to do is link, and we collectively have been able to do, is link the Baltimore communities with many of the DC communities. Never before has it happened um, at any time. And I know that some people, they want to, they focus on what they do, and God bless them, and they ignore a freedom fighter like Marilyn Mosby. And let me just say this, for because I posted in the group and somebody went on and said something about, well, she locked up such and such, she locked up I don't know, Leroy, and you know and my thing is this, like, so on the other end of that, she freed some people that were innocent, that were wrongly accused. So the question becomes, like, you can't have it both ways. Like, if you don't tell people that she freed some people that were innocently accused, but only thing you got to say is she kept who knows who you talking about in jail, or she prosecuted, like, that's bias. That's bias. That's an unfair, total, holistic analysis, right? And so, but what you have is like extremism, where people want to put a purity test. They want to put a purity test up and a litmus test to say, oh, she a state's attorney, she's supposed to free everybody. Well, not everybody's supposed to be free. Like, you got to earn your freedom in every society. Like, freedom no longer is a right. Freedom becomes a privilege in this society, particularly for those that may be committing particular acts against the people. And so what I'm saying, and these people are so um, so unaware of the case. Like they don't even understand about the court and the repression uh, of, of 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 this trial and the persecution and the selective prosecution that went on before that. This is the Trump, uh, former Governor Larry Hogan, and Leo Wise uh, coming together in different dynamics. All of the forces that it was a spillover to where the current U.S. Attorney Eric Byrne did not change directions on this, which he possibly should have. He should have looked at this and said, this is crazy. But, people get in positions. And I mean, I don't, and I can't say whether he had all power. I'm not particularly aware, but I'm very interested. I want to hear some people's opinions on that. But my question is, what was the Baltimore uh, conscious community, MIA, right? So the question is, are some of you, whatever your space is, will you believe somehow that because these people, what they do, they think everybody is wrong all the time. Like they call people misleaders, right? But as I showed you, Kwame uh, Ture with Adam Clayton Powell, and there are many pictures with Kwame Ture walking with Dr. King. So the question becomes, why would 50 to 60 lawyers sign a letter? Why would 50 to 60 lawyers sign a letter to President Biden? So the question becomes, um, are you going to just ignore all of that and come to Baltimore and not even touch upon this? Like she was on the Breakfast Club, which they criticized the Breakfast Club. Joy Reid, Roland Martin, several other shows. But these people, they in their own little group, little sect. I'm a progressive left. I don't know what that means. I don't do anything. I don't support Bernie Sanders. Hell, you could have went. You didn't even deploy people down to where Dr. Cornel West was speaking in D.C. today at the National Press Club, right? So I'm just saying that you can't talk about politics, for instance, or you're going to do something in the space of politics, and then on a one instance you don't galvanize the people and find out how to organize locally. You just want to show up and speak and talk. And I've always heard that about many different scholars, that when they come to a town, learn about the issues in that particular town, study and find out. I don't know if it was Steve Cloakley or, I'm not sure where I got that idea from, but you can't just come in and talk about things and just ignore the struggles, the right and just struggles of the local people. And that's what I even, when the State of the Black World Conference was here, I was like, look, you need to have some local people. And let me tell you, and I see it from both angles because, I've done partially conferences in Tanzania, conferences in South Africa, conferences in Kenya. So, and this year we're going to Ethiopia, right? And you can't say you BPM or you conscious, and we share that we've gone to the African Union. and and then you still just ignore, or you want to ignore particular people. So this is why, even for instance, I have to keep organizing. I'll give you another example. Like, last year I was at, ALD Day. I mean, I had key intel going on, like on a national and global scale, and even in the state of Maryland. So I just had, for instance, people like, pretending like, I don't know, like they don't know who I am or what I'm doing. Like, I'm like, look, if you don't know me by now, I doubt you'll ever know me, but I'm just like, if you don't know me, I don't need to know you. Like, for real, because I mean, if you are within a certain age group, like, I'm like, I know the people I need to know to go and do what I need to get done. And the people know who I am, right? Enough people, or they just one person away from the right connection. And so now I'm just putting it out there because, you know, we had over 150 people, present. So that just means people power. And if you are like Brother Imwalimu Jegna, Imwalimu Barudi was just on, he wrote a book, Centered, and it's upstairs. I got it somewhere. But centered. Now, centered to many people may mean different things, but centered, to me, he describes it, and he do this little chart, and he talks about who you have in your inner circle, who you have in your periphery, or your next line, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm saying, from an organizing perspective, these little fringe offset groups that create these type of uh, uh, shall I say, little crews trying to build up followers, if you will, that in fact do not even have the leadership, the forward thinking to connect to a bigger and broader movement that could transform and have groups of lawyers asking questions about the justice system, right? Asking questions about selective prosecution, right? That's what we need to be thinking about. Not, oh, she prosecuted or one person and I'm upset because back in 1989 she did something else. And then there's some other ones that's running around talking about the Conways, the Conway family. They don't like the Mosbys because of something that happened in an election time. So people holding petty grudges, and they can't overcome their grudges. And then some people, in some political spaces, they got beef because somebody ran against somebody before. Somebody, so there's all these, somebody endorsed somebody else. So people can't, you know, support an injustice that they see in front of them, right? And they too connected. They're not independent. They don't have, they don't have no freedom. They tied to a job where they, the electoral people, they tied to a job, and they don't have a pension. They don't have no passive income, no residual income. So they have to think about, uh, should I support this, or who's not gonna like me if I endorse this person, or if I come out for this person. Not a single elected official, not a single elected official came to the event on Sunday, on Malcolm X's birthday, for Sister Marilyn Mosby. But we have the CBC that sent a letter to President Biden asking for a pardon. We sent the NAACP and NAN. Several organizations did that, and so we're grateful for many of these organizations. But we're asking, for solidarity statements. Like, I mean, if there, of course. Now, let me just say that there are certainly many different causes that need to be fought in a multitude of ways. I'm not like being a purist in the sense that everybody has to, um, fight this fight. But I'm like, if you in Baltimore and you haven't like done nothing, not even shared or done anything, give the sister some money or contribution, like you are a hypocrite. You are a political hypocrite and a political Sambo. Like so um and I'm to the point where I have enough influence and power and strategic operations going that I don't necessarily overwhelmingly care that much, like for real, because success is intimate, shall I say? But I'm very disturbed that someone would come and try to slander the sister in a vicious way. But it comes natural for this particular group that they allowed for this really loud sister to really just disrespect Marilyn Mosby on a live stream one time, and nobody even intellectually debated or discussed the in-depthness of it. And so I'm just saying at this particular time, because what's going to happen, um, uh, you have enough people that support Mosby and enough people with enough diverse intellectual depth to understand the criminal justice system, to know what she has done, and set the precedent or the standard or the perception in for states attorneys all over this country. So she was a revolutionary in many senses of the word. And so if so-called progressives, I don't know, progressive left, so-called conscious people that I don't know what they're doing right now in Baltimore. I don't know what they talking about, but like you're not centered. You're not centered. You can pretend you're reading the Baruti books. Um, you can pretend that you healing people, but there's a lot of people that were healed when they were set free. And so now we have someone in place that can dissect. And let me just say, last year we went, took over 30 something young people on the freedom rides with us through 10 different states. And she was present. She had her daughters with her. Yes, Teaching Artists Institute, my organization, we did that, right? So, so yes, I have vested interest in her freedom, have vested interest in her success. And, this is, one thing you have to do is be prepared. If you think that somebody is not ethnically revolutionary enough, well, this system is oppressive, and the oppressive forces, the oppressive political forces that came against Marilyn Mosby, eventually they may come against you, and you may need someone like her, right? You may need a good attorney or someone who understands different aspects of law, different aspects of the judicial system, right? Are you going to just be an ideologue? Are you going to be an ideologue and push her and say, nah, although you freed these other brothers, you arrested this brother. And some of you, I know I didn't know every single case. And it's possible some people may have slipped through. I don't I have no idea, like, of all the details. But are you saying? I mean, this one woman, she just, you know, was crazy talking about she should go to jail. So these people are not doing real, true community service when they, try to discredit a good sister who should not spend a single day in jail, right? And should receive a pardon from President Biden. And so when you have these groups online and they have these little meetings, don't fall and be a cult follower. You know, they're not the masses. The masses of people understand the basic things that the sister did, which were right. And I went to the court a few days, so I understand just a little bit more, enough to say, don't listen to, some of these PhDs that don't show up, that didn't show up to court. Like, they are in their own lane, on their own educational lane, in their own space, whatever their background is. But don't think just because they got an alphabet behind their name, or if they've been to prison or something, don't think that just because they've been to prison that they know something and you should follow them either, right? So I just want to put that out there. The work is being done. There was a major, major reparations conference on Malcolm X weekend. Many great thinkers were present, and I was one of the only ones from Baltimore to be present. Again, there's certainly bigger causes, that need to happen. But, so I say to many of those who will see this, and I'm going to play it over and over and over. And I'm going to keep doing real work, because YouTube is not the real work. F what you heard. YouTube is not the real. Oh, she's sending me. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Oh, God. Woosah, woosah, woosah. All right. um, I'm praying to Jesus right now. My text. All right. But let me go, y'all. Let me go. I just got a text. But yeah, so it's all good, y'all. Man, some of y'all, we gotta have some tough love conversations, but man, I'm making moves, man. I got things to do, places to go, people to meet. Like, things are happening. Haki Ami, the Success Scholar, look me up, just Google me. I'm all over in and around Baltimore, in and around the state of Maryland. If you need something done in Maryland, like, I'm one of the plugs. So I ain't gonna say I'm a plug or the plug, but I'm one of the necessary plugs that know the resourcefulness, know what's going on, know who's doing really what for real in and throughout the state. I make myself available to the right people, to the right thinkers, and to the right builders. And that's what we need to do. We have to be aware. We have to create a level of consciousness. Consciousness means awareness. So you have to be aware of people. You have to be aware that there was a reparations conference going on in DC. And unfortunately, if many of your so-called conscious leaders letting you know about these things, you need get some new darn leaders. Because I recall some years ago that I certainly wasn't I wasn't having this follower thing. I was going to lectures in DC. I was going to lectures, sometimes I would go to things in Philly, but I was, going things in Baltimore County, you know what I'm saying? So, but if somebody's doing something, I'm present. So my conscious quals are unquestionable. And so, but I want to encourage you all as well. Definitely check out the Film Global Assignment that I make my cameo star appearance in The Life and Times of Dr. Minoko Rashidi. And so I want to thank you all for joining me, and shout out to Dr. Ericana, who gave me an award at Howard University, the Ericana Excellence Award. She's the first African Union ambassador to the to the African Union, as well as my humanitarian award in New York that three New York senators gave me citations. So for this woman that's texting me pretending that she don't know me, I'm just like, you've been on a damn island. So I'm just like, but I don't have time to even talk to you like no more, like for real. Like ask somebody else, ask your friends. So, but I'm not gonna talk to them either because they need to be letting you know. So, all right, we out, y'all. Peace and blessing. Haki Ami, the Success Scholar. I do have a website, Success Scholar, HAKI.com. I need to update it. We've been, grinding. Stay tuned in. We are on the moves. Haki Ami. Peace and blessings.